Ever get that feeling where you really want to dive deep into something like a complex topic?
Yeah.
But just the thought of like slogging through all those long, dry explanations just makes you kind of want to,
Yeah, completely.
I think we all crave those moments where everything just clicks and things suddenly become clear.
Absolutely.
Well, good news, everyone. Welcome.
Yeah.
Today, we're taking a bit of a shortcut, bit of an express route, if you will, into a really fascinating corner of English grammar. And believe me, master this, and you won't just be communicating more clearly. You'll actually sound like incredibly polished, incredibly natural.
Very sophisticated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're zeroing in on how to use the phrase by the time with this thing called the future perfect tense.
Right.
And we've been digging into some sources that really get into the nitty gritty of this particular structure. And our goal here really is to distill the essential knowledge. So you can just take it and run with it, use it confidently in your own, everyday life.
For sure.
Our mission, and we chose to accept it, is pretty simple. We want to give you a crystal clear understanding of what by the time actually signals, especially when we're talking about the future. How the future perfect tense kind of works alongside it, why this combo is so darn effective, and importantly, because who wants to make mistakes, right? How to sidestep those common pitfalls that tend to, trip people up.
Totally.
Think of this deep dive as your express ticket, your backstage pass to using this slightly more sophisticated grammar, like an absolute pro.
Like you were born with it.
Yeah, exactly. Just rolls right off the tongue. Okay, so to get us going, let's really unpack what by the time is all about, particularly when we're looking ahead into the future. What's it telling us?
Okay, so picture this. By the time is kind of like setting up this future reference point.
Okay.
It's letting you know that one action will be totally completed at or before another specific moment in the future.
Okay, I see.
It's almost like setting up this timeline, right? Where one future event nicely wraps up before another one pops up. So it lets us connect these two future actions with, a real sense of sequence and completion.
Gotcha. So it's like drawing a line in the sand, but in the future?
Yeah, exactly.
And saying, all right, this thing over here will be done by that line in the sand.
Yes.
Perfect. I love it. Now, the future perfect tense, this is the other big player in all of this.
Yeah.
Just a super quick reminder for anyone who might need it. What does that tense actually do? How does it function in a sentence?
All right. So the future perfect tense is how we describe an action that will be finished, done, and dusted before a certain point in the future. It's not just about something happening in the future. It's really emphasizing that it will be completed by that future time. It adds this finality to it.
Right. So it's not I will do it. It's I will have done it before something else happens.
Precisely.
Okay, cool. Now, how do these two pieces, by the time and the future perfect, actually fit together, grammatically speaking? What's the standard, blueprint for these sentences?
Okay, so the typical structure you'll see is this. You start with by the time, then you have your subject followed by a verb in, and this is important, the present simple tense, and then you've got the main part of the sentence with its subject, the phrase will have, and the past participle of the main verb.
Okay, so far so good.
Now, one of our sources gives this great example to illustrate this. By the time I arrive at the party, everyone will have already started eating.
Okay, I see. So by the time we say I arrive, present simple, even though it's a future event.
Exactly.
And then in the second part, we've got will have started, which is our future perfect, showing that the eating will be done before I show up.
Yeah.
Love it. Let's look at a couple more examples to really hammer this home, make it crystal clear.
Okay, for sure. Let's think about graduating, right? From university, you could say, by the time I graduate, I will have studied at university for 4 years.
Right.
And what's really neat here is how this sentence makes it super clear that those 4 years of hitting the books, pulling all-nighters.
The ramen.
Oh, yeah, all the ramen. All of that will be totally done before the actual graduation ceremony even happens.
It really highlights the fact that it's a completed period of time. Right?
Yes, exactly. Duration and completion, it's all right there.
That's a great point. Okay, let's shift gears for a sec. Imagine we're in a more professional setting. Let's say we've got a team working on this huge project, right? What kind of sentence could we use to describe that?
Well, you might hear them say something like, by the time we finish this project, we will have worked on it for 6 months.
Okay, and again, finish, present simple, after by the time.
You got it.
And then will have worked, future perfect, emphasizing, all that work that they put in over those 6 months, and it'll all be done by the time they wrap up the project.
Yeah, it really packs a punch, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Okay, the structure is definitely becoming clearer now. But I know one area where people can sometimes trip up is, telling the difference between the future perfect and the simple future tense.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Can we maybe just take a minute to really nail down that distinction? What makes them different?
Right, that's super important. So the simple future, like when you say, I will finish my homework tomorrow, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, just a future action.
Exactly. It just tells you something's going to happen in the future, no biggie. There's no real focus on whether it'll be finished before or after some other future event. Just that it'll happen.
Right, it's just a statement like this will occur at some point.
Exactly.
So where does the future perfect come in? How does it add that, extra layer?
Well, the future perfect, as we've been saying, it's all about completion before a specific point in the future.
Uh-huh.
So if we take your homework example, I will finish my homework tomorrow, and we give it the by the time and future perfect treatment.
Okay.
We end up with something like, by the time my teacher checks, I will have finished my homework.
Gotcha.
The big difference here, the thing to really notice, is the focus on the homework being done before the teacher checks it.
Okay, so it's all about the timing of that completion.
You got it.
I love how this tense adds that, anticipation, that sense of one thing's going to be wrapped up before this other future event happens. It's really cool.
Yeah, it adds a whole new dimension.
It does. Okay. To really bring this all to life, to see how it works in a more, natural kind of setting, how about we create a little story, like a mini narrative?
Oh, I love that idea. Okay, let's think about a student. We'll call him Alex. Alex has a big, important test coming up.
Right, the kind that makes your palms sweat.
Oh, yeah, exactly. High stakes. And we can use this grammar structure to really paint a clear picture of, his study progress, his timeline leading up to the test.
Okay, I like it. So let's say Alex has this exam on Monday, and he's a good student, so he starts studying a whole week beforehand. How would we use our target grammar to describe his prep?
We could say, by the time Alex takes the exam, he will have studied for an entire week. This immediately tells us that his whole week of studying, all that effort, will be completely finished right before he sits down to take the exam.
It sets the stage, right?
Yeah, totally. Gives us a clear time frame and a sense of, he's ready.
He's put in the work. All right, so now it's Sunday night, the night before the exam, and Alex is doing some last-minute review. How would we use our by the time future perfect combo to describe this?
Well, we could say, by the time Alex goes to bed on Sunday, he will have reviewed all of his notes.
I love it.
This really highlights that his review session is a finished thing before he hits the hay. That task is done.
Check. Notes reviewed. Okay, now comes the hard part. The exam is over, and now he's waiting for the results.
The worst part.
The nail biting, the pacing. How do we capture that with our grammatical structure?
By the time Alex checks his results, he will have waited anxiously for a few days.
Oh, that's perfect.
And this emphasizes that waiting period, all that anxiety.
The anticipation.
Yes, and it frames it as a completed experience leading up to that moment when he finally sees his score.
Wow, that really drives it home. That little story really shows how powerful and clear this by the time future perfect structure can be. It's not just a grammar rule, it's a storytelling tool.
Totally. It adds so much depth.
Absolutely. Okay, now we've talked a lot about how to use this correctly, but what about some of the common mistakes? What do people tend to mess up when they're trying to use this grammar?
Okay, so there are a couple of big ones to watch out for. One of the most frequent mistakes is using the future simple tense after by the time instead of the present simple. So someone might say, by the time I will arrive, she will have left. And that will arrive is a no-no.
Right.
The right way to say it is, by the time I arrive, she will have left. It's a little counterintuitive because we're talking about the future, but in this particular structure, present simple after by the time is the way to go.
That is so important.
Yeah.
This is a bit weird, right? Using present simple for a future event.
Yeah, it can trip you up.
But hey, rules are rules.
Yeah.
Okay, what's another common slip-up? What else should people be mindful of?
Okay, the other really common mistake is just straight up forgetting the will have in the future perfect part.
Ah, yes.
So someone might say, by the time we finished the project, we worked for 6 months. But that sentence, it's missing something crucial.
Yeah, it's incomplete.
Exactly. The will have is like the key ingredient in the future perfect tense.
Can't forget that.
Nope. The correct version would be, by the time we finish the project, we will have worked on it for 6 months. That will have just shouts future completion.
Love it. Those are some really helpful, red flags.
Yeah.
Okay, to give you, our amazing listeners, a chance to really get your hands dirty with what we've been talking about, we've got a couple of quick fill-in-the-blank sentences for you to ponder.
Yes. Time for a little pop quiz. Just a fun little exercise to see how it all clicks together.
Exactly. Okay, here's the first one. By the time I turn 30, I travel to many countries.
All right. What's the correct form of travel that should go in that blank? Think about it for a second.
Take your time.
All right. Ready for the answer?
Let's hear it.
The answer is will have traveled. So the complete sentence is, by the time I turn 30, I will have traveled to many countries. And that future perfect will have traveled. It's perfect because it shows the completion of the action, all that traveling before that future point in time, turning 30.
Makes perfect sense. All right, ready for the second one?
Bring it on. All right, here it is. By the time Sarah gets home, her mom, cook dinner. So what's the future perfect form of cook that fits nicely into that sentence?
By the time Sarah gets home, her mom will have cooked dinner.
You nailed it.
Boom.
Again, the future perfect will have cooked shows that the cooking will be all done before Sarah walks through the door.
Love it. Okay, as you can see, getting this whole by the time, present simple, future perfect thing.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. But it's not just about memorizing some, stuffy grammar rule. It really lets you express the sequences of future events and the idea of completion with so much more precision. It's about understanding how English handles time, and it makes your communication just so much clearer.
For sure. When you can use this correctly, it's like you're painting this really detailed picture of future scenarios where one thing is neatly finished before another one even begins.
Absolutely. It's a level up. So the big takeaway here is to really start using this in your own speaking and writing. Just pay attention to the structure, by the time, present simple verb, and then that future perfect with will have and the past participle.
And as you start doing this, think about what it does for you. How does it change the way you talk about your future plans, your expectations?
That's great.
How does this ability to precisely frame those completed actions in the future change the way you communicate? Does it make you more confident? Does it give you more clarity? Does it help you get your point across more effectively?
That is something to think about. Really interesting.
Yeah, what new ways of expressing yourself does this open up for you?
That's a fantastic question to leave everyone with.
Food for thought.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's it for our deep dive today. We'll see you next time.
Until then,